The Appalachian Trail is more than just a footpath. It's a 2,200-mile artery of dirt and rock, pulsing through the heart of the oldest mountains in America. For those who walk it, it becomes a world unto itself, a green tunnel, if you will, of whispering leaves, grueling climbs, and breathtaking vistas. But beneath the worn earth and beside the iconic white blazes lies another path, one woven from centuries of whispers, warnings, and strange encounters. This is the Trail of Legends. These ancient mountains have been home to countless generations, each leaving its own ghosts and stories etched into the landscape. From the deep hollers of the South, where the Cherokee told tales of life-stealing witches and benevolent little people, to the misty peaks of New England, haunted by the spirits of colonial settlers and protected by powerful nature gods, the trail is saturated with folklore. In this collection, in no particular order, we'll step off the physical path and onto the Trail of Legend. We'll seek out the creatures that defy explanation, listen for the lonely ghosts of pioneers and soldiers, and feel the unnerving presence of entities born from the modern hiker's deepest fears. So, quiet your footsteps, listen to the wind, and look closer at the shadows between the trees. The Trail of Legends is all around you, and the first story is just ahead. Join me. I'm Steve Stockton. Let's take a walk and see these legends of the Appalachian Trail. First up, the Wampus Cat. A fearsome half-woman, half-cat creature of Cherokee origin, the Wampus Cat is said to stalk the remote woods of the Appalachians. Legends tell of a woman who, after spying on a sacred tribal ceremony, was cursed to roam the mountains as a monstrous, supernatural panther. Descriptions vary, but she is often depicted as having glowing eyes and immense power. Hikers have reported hearing her blood-curdling screams echoing through the night and finding unnaturally large feline tracks along the trail. Next, the Mooney People. According to Cherokee lore, the Appalachian Mountains were once inhabited by a mysterious race of fair-skinned, blue-eyed people who were unable to see in the daylight. These moon-eyed people were said to live in underground tunnels and only emerge at night. Legend has it that they were eventually driven from the region by the Cherokee. Now, some theorists have even speculated that these tales could be a distant memory of pre-Columbian European explorers. Ancient stone structures found in the region are sometimes attributed to this enigmatic group. Next, the Brown Mountain Lights. For over a century, mysterious ethereal lights have been witnessed dancing above the peaks of Brown Mountain in North Carolina, an area visible from parts of the Appalachian Trail. I've seen these myself, and they are very, very strange. These ghost lights vary in color and intensity, often appearing as floating orbs that hover and then vanish. While scientific explanations have been proposed, from train lights and cars to swamp gas, the Cherokee have their own legend. They believe the lights are the spirits of ancient warriors, their torches still searching for their fallen comrades from a great battle. Next, the Moth Man. Though his infamous debut was in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the 1960s, sightings of a winged humanoid creature with glowing red eyes have been reported throughout the Appalachian region. Described as being as large as a man with a massive wingspan, the Moth Man is often seen as a harbinger of doom, its appearance preceding tragic events. Thru-hikers have shared tales of unsettling red-eyed figures glimpsed in the twilight hours in the more remote sections of the trail. Next, the Greymen of the 100-Mile Wilderness. The 100-Mile Wilderness in Maine is the most remote and demanding section of the entire trail. It is here that hikers, pushed to their physical and mental limits, speak of the Greymen. These are not true ghosts, but a personification of the extreme caloric deficit and exhaustion hikers face. The legend says these silent, gray, spectral figures walk at the edge of a hiker's vision, and their presence is felt as a supernatural drain, making food feel less nourishing and miles feel twice as long. They are the spirits of overwhelming hunger, a unique haunting born of pure physical depletion. Next, the Snarly Yow. German immigrants to the Appalachian region brought with them tales of the Schnellerjag, or Snarly Yow. This creature is described as a massive black dog with glowing eyes and a terrifying howl that can be heard for miles. It's said to be a shapeshifter, capable of disappearing and reappearing at will. Encounters with the Snarly Yow are often reported in the more isolated stretches of the trail in Maryland and West Virginia, where it is said to stalk lone hikers. Now we have the Flatwoods Monster. In 1952, in the town of Flatwoods, West Virginia, a group of children and a local woman encountered a terrifying creature that has since become a local legend. Described as a tall, metallic figure with a spade-shaped head and glowing eyes, the Flatwoods Monster was said to emit a sickening, misty vapor. While the original sighting was not directly on the Appalachian Trail, the story has permeated the folklore of the state, adding to the roster of strange beings one might encounter in the West Virginia wilderness portion of the trail. Next, the Ghost of Audi Pal. In the late 19th century, a 4-year-old boy named Audi Pal wandered away from his schoolhouse in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia and was never seen alive again. His body was eventually found by a hunter on the slopes of Bluff Mountain near the present-day route of the Appalachian Trail. Since then, hikers have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a small boy in the area, sometimes hearing his faint cries for help carried on the wind. Next, Spearfinger. Another chilling figure from Cherokee mythology, Spearfinger was a shape-shifting, witch-like creature with a stone finger that she used to pierce the livers of her victims, primarily children. She could take on the appearance of a beloved family member to lure her prey. Her stony skin made her nearly invincible. Though legend says she was eventually defeated, her terrifying story serves as a cautionary tale for those who wander too far into the deep woods. And how about the mysterious tunnels of the trail? Whispers in online forums among Appalachian trail hikers speak of a more modern and unsettling legend: the existence of secret, man-made tunnels that intersect with the trail. These stories often involve strange, pale, human-like creatures emerging from these hidden entrances, sometimes described as escaped experiments from clandestine underground labs. While there is no concrete evidence for such tunnels, the tales add a layer of contemporary paranoia to the ancient mysteries of the mountains. Next, the Spirit of Pamola. At the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail looms the formidable Mount Katahdin in Maine. According to the Penobscot Nation, this sacred mountain is protected by a powerful and fearsome spirit known as Pamola. Described as having the head of a moose, the body of a man, and the wings and feet of an eagle, Pamola is the god of thunder and the master of the mountain. He is said to be intolerant of mortals who venture into his domain, capable of conjuring fierce storms and blizzards to drive them away. For generations, the Penobscot people have treated the mountain with deep respect, and many hikers who have faced the notoriously unpredictable weather on Katahdin can attest to a palpable wild power that seems to emanate from the peak itself. Next, the Ghost of Gathan State Park. The Appalachian Trail passes directly through Gathan State Park in Maryland, a site steeped in Civil War history. The park was once the mountain home of George Alfred Townsend, a journalist and war correspondent during the Civil War. He erected the War Correspondents' Memorial Arch, a unique and imposing structure dedicated to journalists who died in conflict. It is around this arch and the restored ruins of Townsend Estate that hikers have reported ghostly encounters. The apparitions of Civil War soldiers are said to appear in the mist, still marching along the old mountain roads. Others have claimed to see the spectral figure of Townsend himself, forever bound to the monument he created to honor the fallen storytellers of a nation's bloodiest conflict. The area's heavy history lends a somber and eerie atmosphere for those passing through on the Appalachian Trail. Next up, the haunted Vanenterter Shelter. Located in northeastern Tennessee, the Vanenterter Shelter is known among thru-hikers for more than just its rustic accommodations. It's widely considered to be one of the most haunted locations on the entire trail. According to legend, a young woman died in or near the shelter long ago. Her spirit is said to remain, and her tragic story is sometimes found scrawled in the shelter's logbook. Hikers who have spent the night have reported a slew of paranormal activity, including hearing disembodied whispers, feeling an unseen presence, and finding strange, unsettling entries appearing in the logbook overnight, allegedly written by the ghostly inhabitant herself. Next, the ghosts of Sidling Hill Tunnel. While not directly on the AT, the abandoned Sidling Hill Tunnel is a popular and chilling side quest for hikers passing through Pennsylvania. Part of the abandoned Pennsylvania Turnpike, this massive decaying tunnel is infamous for its oppressive atmosphere and paranormal claims. Visitors and ghost hunters report hearing the disembodied voices of workers who died during its construction, seeing shadowy figures darting in the gloom, and experiencing sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature. For AT hikers looking for a truly terrifying detour, this dark, echoing remnant of the past offers a potent dose of local ghost lore. Now we have the Jersey Devil. As the Appalachian Trail winds through the northwestern corner of New Jersey, it enters the periphery of territory claimed by one of America's most bizarre cryptids, the Jersey Devil. For over 250 years, tales have circulated of a bizarre winged creature with a horse-like head, leathery wings, and a blood-curdling scream. While its primary stomping grounds is in the Pine Barrens to the south, sightings have been reported in the state's northern forests and highlands. Hikers on this stretch of the trail have sometimes reported hearing unearthly shrieks in the night or catching fleeting glimpses of a dark, winged shape moving through the dense canopy, a chilling reminder that some legends have very long legs and wings. Now, the haunting of Blood Mountain. Located in Georgia, Blood Mountain is the highest point on the Appalachian Trail in the state, and its name carries a heavy history. The mountain is said to have been the site of a fierce and bloody battle between the Cherokee and Creek nations. Legend holds that the souls of the slain warriors never left, and their spirits still haunt the slopes. Hikers climbing the mountain, particularly in the fog and at dusk, report hearing war cries and phantom footsteps on the trail. Some have even claimed to see fleeting, shadowy figures darting between the trees, forever locked in their ancient conflict. Next, the Nunahi. Now, not all legends of the Appalachians are terrifying. The Cherokee people tell stories of the Nunahi, or the Little People, a race of benevolent, human-like spirits who live in the mountains. Said to be invisible unless they choose to be seen, the Nunahi are known to be friendly helpers and protectors of the Cherokee. There are many tales of them guiding lost hikers, especially children, safely out of the woods or leading hunters to game. While an encounter is rare, a hiker who finds themselves inexplicably back on the right path after being lost might just have the Nunahi to thank. Next, the White Lady of Raven Rock. In North Carolina, near the town of Linville Falls, is a towering cliff known as Raven Rock. This landmark is home to a classic Appalachian ghost story, that of the White Lady. As the tale goes, a young woman, distraught over a lost love, either fell or threw herself from the precipice. Now, her spectral white-robed figure is said to appear on the cliffs on misty nights, forever wondering the spot of her demise. Hikers on the nearby trail have reported seeing a faint, luminous shape and hearing the sorrowful cries of a woman carried on the wind. Now, the ghost of Mount Greylock. As the Appalachian Trail crosses its highest point in Massachusetts, it summits Mount Greylock. This peak has a resident ghost with a particular affinity for hikers, known colloquially as the Old Coot. He is said to be the friendly spirit of a farmer who once lived on the mountain. He often appears as a ghostly, old-fashioned hiker near the summit, particularly at Bascom Lodge. He is sometimes seen as a harbinger of the mountain's notoriously foul and sudden weather, appearing just before a storm rolls in, perhaps as a final spectral warning to fellow travelers. Now we have the Dueyo. While the snarly yowl stalks parts of the trail, Maryland has another monster in its woods, the Dueyo. First reported in the 1960s in Frederick County, a region the AT passes through, the Dueyo is described as a bipedal, wolf-like creature with shaggy black fur and a bushy tail. Often considered a counterpart to the snarly yowl, with which it was said to have had a legendary battle, the Dueyo is Maryland's unique version of a werewolf cryptid. Local reports and hiker tales speak of strange howls and encounters with a fast-moving, upright canid in the deep woods. And now, what about the Punk Wedgies? Especially relevant to hikers in Massachusetts, the Punk Wedgies are creatures from the folklore of the Wampanoag and other Algonquin peoples. Described as small, gray-skinned, troll-like humanoids about 2 to 3 feet tall, they are known to be masters of magic and trickery. While some tales paint them as mischievous, others describe them as malevolent, capable of luring people off cliffs, shooting poison arrows, and disappearing at will. Their traditional territory is the forests and swamps in New England, and hikers on the Massachusetts portion of the AT have reported feelings of being watched, hearing strange chattering, and seeing small figures moving just at the edge of their vision. Next up, the Bennington Triangle. As the Appalachian Trail merges with the Long Trail in southwestern Vermont, it passes directly through the heart of an infamous window area known as the Bennington Triangle. This region, centered on Glastonberry Mountain, is notorious for a series of at least 5 mysterious disappearances between 1945 and 1950, including that of an experienced hiker. None of the missing were ever found. A vast array of supernatural explanations have been proposed, from a man-eating creature and interdimensional portals to UFO abductions. Hikers in this section often report a disorienting, weird atmosphere, strange lights in the sky, and an unnerving sense of being utterly alone, even when with a group. And then there's the ghost of the Leather Man. In the late 1800s, a very real and enigmatic figure known as the Leather Man endlessly walked a 365-mile circuit between the Connecticut and Hudson rivers, a route that crosses the modern-day AT in both Connecticut and New York. Clad in a crude 60-pound suit of stitched-together leather scraps, he was a silent wanderer who slept in caves and was so punctual that locals would set their watches by his arrival. Though he was a real person, his strange life has morphed into legend since his death. His ghost is now said to continue walking the old circuit, and hikers have reported seeing a silent, leather-clad figure on the trail who vanishes when approached, forever sticking to his unending schedule. And then there's Hexenoff Rock. Near the Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley lies a large stone outcrop known as Hexenoff, or Witch's Head Rock. For centuries, this place was a legendary gathering spot for practitioners of powwowing, which is a form of Pennsylvania Dutch folk magic and witchcraft. It was said to be a place of immense power, where curses were cast and rituals were performed under the cover of night. Local lore is filled with tales of strange lights seen dancing around the rock, and farmers blame the Hexenoff witches for sick livestock or bad crops. The area around the rock maintains a deeply spooky reputation, charged with the energy of its magical history. Next, the feuding ghosts of Rice Field Shelter. Another of the trail's famously haunted shelters, the Rice Field Shelter in Virginia comes with a story of brotherly hate. According to the legend, 2 brothers who owned the land where the shelter now stands got into a bitter argument over the property line, a dispute that ended in a violent, murderous confrontation. Now, hikers who stay the night report being woken by the sounds of phantom arguing, angry shouts echoing from the surrounding woods, and the palpable feeling of rage and resentment that seems to have soaked into the very ground. Next, the knot deer. A product of modern folklore that has found a home in the Appalachians, the knot deer is a particularly unsettling creature. Reports describe an animal that looks almost like a deer, but is fundamentally wrong. Its legs may bend in the wrong direction, its eyes may face forward like a predator's, It may move with an unnerving fluidity, or it may stand on its hind legs. Often, it shows no fear of humans and evokes a primal sense of dread. Hikers have shared chilling tales of encountering these creatures on remote sections of the trail, suggesting an animal that is either a malformed species, a skinwalker, or something else entirely. Now we have the ghosts of Cataloochee Valley. Before it was a part of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Cataloochee was a thriving community. In the 1930s, residents were forced to sell their land and leave their homes for the creation of the park. Today, the Appalachian Trail passes near this valley of preserved homesteads, schools, and churches. It's said to be haunted by the spirits of those who were displaced. Visitors report seeing ghostly figures looking out the windows of empty houses, hearing the faint laughter of children near the abandoned school, and feeling a profound, lingering sadness that permeates the entire valley. Next, the ghost of the Great Gulf in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Now, the White Mountains of New Hampshire contain some of the most beautiful and treacherous terrain on the entire Appalachian Trail. The Great Gulf Wilderness, a vast glacial cirque east of Mount Washington, is home to its own ghost history. According to legend, the spirit of an early explorer or hiker who died in the rugged landscape still roams the Gulf. On quiet nights, hikers camped near the area have reported hearing plaintive cries for help echoing from the ravine's depths, a chilling sound in such a remote and unforgiving place. Next, the Dover Demon. While not directly on the trail, one of Massachusetts' most famous cryptids was sighted just a short distance away in the town of Dover. In 1977, several teenagers had separate, terrifying encounters with a bizarre creature that became known as the Dover Demon. It was described as small and thin, with a large watermelon-shaped head, glowing orange eyes, and long spindly fingers. It was seen creeping along walls and roadsides for 2 nights before vanishing forever. For hikers passing through Massachusetts, the tale is a reminder that the state's woodlands have a history of producing their own unique and baffling monsters. And then there's the Moodus noises. The Appalachian Trail runs through the western part of Connecticut, but one of the state's oldest and strangest legends emanates from the east, in the area around East Haddam. For centuries, the region has been plagued by the Moodus noises, strange booming and rumbling sounds that seem to come from deep within the earth. Native Americans believed it was the angry voice of a god named Hobomok, but colonists blamed it on witches' covens or gas from subterranean gems. While modern science points to shallow micro-earthquakes, the sheer history and the unsettling nature of the sounds have cemented the Moodus noises as one of New England's most enduring paranormal mysteries. And what about the whispers of Mahusuks Notch? Located in Maine, Mahusuks Notch is famously known as the most difficult, and for some, the most fun, mile on the entire Appalachian Trail. It is a deep, dark chasm filled with a jumble of gigantic boulders that hikers must navigate by climbing over, under, and through the cave-like passages. The notch's difficulty, isolation, and year-round ice pockets have given rise to legends. It's said the place itself is alive, and hikers report hearing disembodied whispers and strange echoes that have no source, as if the rocks themselves are speaking. Others have felt the unnerving sensation of being watched from the deep, dark crevices between the boulders. Next, the curse of the Old Man. For generations, the Old Man of the Mountain, a natural rock formation resembling a face, was the symbol of New Hampshire. The Appalachian Trail passes through the Franconia Notch, where the profile gazed out from the cliffs above Profile Lake. Native American legend tied the stone face to a great spirit who watched over the land. Though the formation collapsed in 2003, its legend endures. Some believe a curse was unleashed with its fall, while others claim the spirit of the Old Man now resides in the misty waters of Profile Lake. Hikers passing through the notch still feel the weight of its history and the presence of the mountain's lost guardian. And what about the Phantom Hiker? Now, this legend is not tied to a single location, but is a widespread piece of trail folklore shared from Georgia to Maine. Numerous hikers on the AT have told stories of encountering a phantom hiker. This figure often appears on a lonely stretch of trail, sometimes looking tired or wearing old-fashioned gear. They might walk with you for a few minutes, sharing a bit of trail wisdom or simply offering a silent, comforting presence, only to vanish without a sound when you turn your back for a moment. Now, whether these are spirits of past hikers, projections of loneliness, or something else, they are an accepted part of the trail's mysterious human tapestry. Next up, the ghost of the Pearisburg Bridge. In Pearisburg, Virginia, thru-hikers must cross a long, swinging pedestrian bridge over the wide New River. This specific crossing point is the subject of a local ghost story. According to reports from hikers and locals, the spectral figure of a woman can sometimes be seen on the bridge late at night, often gazing down into the dark water. The most common tale attached to the sighting is that she is the grieving ghost of a mother whose child drowned tragically in the river below, forever waiting on the bridge that crosses over the site of her loss. And now we have the Woody's Knob abduction. While ghosts and cryptids are common, this legend introduces a different kind of visitor to the AT. In the 1970s, two hikers on Woody's Knob in Virginia claimed to have a terrifying UFO experience. They reported seeing a bright metallic craft land nearby, from which strange, non-human entities emerged. The encounter was followed by a period of missing time, a classic element of alleged alien abduction scenarios. The story has since become a fixture of Appalachian UFO lore, suggesting that those who walk the trail should keep an eye not only on the woods around them, but on the skies above. Next up, the Raven Mockers. Of all the figures in Cherokee legend, none are more feared than the Raven Mockers. These are said to be the most powerful and malevolent of witches who can steal the remaining life force from the sick or dying. They often travel as fiery, shadowy shapes, and when they travel, they are said to make the sound of a raven's cry, hence their name. According to the lore, they are invisible to most people, except for certain medicine people. If their true identity is discovered, they are doomed to die. For hikers in the southern Appalachians, especially North Carolina and Tennessee, the cry of a raven near a shelter at dusk can take on a terrifying new meaning. Now, the legend of the Blowing Rock. Near the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina is the famous cliff known as the Blowing Rock, which overhangs the Johns River Gorge. A unique local legend gives the spot its name. The story tells of a maiden from the Chickasaw tribe who fell in love with a brave from the rival Cherokee. When her lover was called by duty to return to his tribe, he leaped from the rock into the gorge below rather than be separated from her. The distraught maiden prayed to the Great Spirit every day until, one evening, a tremendous gust of wind blew up from the gorge, returning her lover to the cliffside and into her arms. To this day, the winds in the gorge are known to defy gravity, blowing light objects back up to the top. And then there's the ghosts of the Hudson Highlands. As the Appalachian Trail dips into New York, it crosses the Hudson River and winds through the rugged and strategic Hudson Highlands, a landscape critical during the Revolutionary War. This section of the trail, particularly in Harriman and Bear Mountain State Parks, is said to be haunted by the spirits of the soldiers who fought and died there. Hikers have reported seeing spectral figures in Continental Army or British Redcoat uniforms marching silently through the woods, smelling phantom pipe smoke and hearing the distant ghostly sounds of musket fire or military drums echoing through the foggy hills. Next, the Thunderbird of Hockomock Swamp. While the AT skirts this area, hikers in Massachusetts are not far from the infamous Bridgewater Triangle, a 200-square-mile zone of intense paranormal activity. One of the most spectacular legends from this area is that of the Thunderbird. Numerous reports, some dating back centuries, describe encounters with gigantic, pterodactyl-like birds with immense wingspans. These creatures are often seen near Hockomock Swamp, which the Wampanoag people call the place where spirits dwell. The proximity of such a paranormal hotspot adds another layer of mystery to the Massachusetts wilderness. Next, the haunted site of Glastonberry Shelter. Within the heart of Vermont's mysterious Bennington Triangle, at the foot of Glastonbury Mountain, once stood the Glastonberry Shelter. While the structure has since been removed, the site remains a popular camping spot on the trail and is considered a focal point for the area's strange energy. Thru-hikers who have camped at or near the former shelter have reported experiences that go beyond the general weirdness of the triangle. These include hearing distinct, disembodied whispers just outside their tents, seeing shadowy figures moving at the edge of the clearing, and being overcome with a sense of profound dread that compels them to pack up and hike into the night. Next up, the Melon Heads. As the Appalachian Trail dips into its southernmost stretch in Connecticut, it passes through a region associated with one of the state's most disturbing urban legends, the Melon Heads. Stories describe a reclusive community of small humanoids with massive, bulbous heads who are said to live deep in the woods. Origins of the legend vary. Some say they are escaped asylum patients, others that they are the cursed descendants of a colonial-era family accused of witchcraft. They are said to be fiercely territorial, occasionally emerging from the woods to attack cars or people on lonely roads. For hikers, they represent a uniquely creepy piece of local Connecticut folklore. And then there's the Sasquatch of the Ron Highlands. While tales of a large, hairy, bipedal ape man exist across North America, the Ron Highlands, on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee, are a legendary hotspot for Sasquatch encounters along the Appalachian Trail. This stunningly beautiful section of the trail, known for its grassy balds, is also known for its eerie, fog-shrouded quiet. Over the years, numerous hikers and locals alike have reported strange guttural howls echoing across the highlands, finding massive, unexplainable footprints, and catching the fleeting glimpses of a massive, fur-covered creature moving with incredible speed just along the tree line. Next, the ghosts of Dartmouth College. In a truly unique section of the trail, thru-hikers walk directly through the center of Hanover, New Hampshire, and across the campus of Dartmouth College. In doing so, they trade the solitude of the woods for one of the most haunted campuses in all of New England. Dartmouth is rife with ghost stories, from the specters of Native Americans in Webster Hall to the ghost of a heartbroken student in the attic of the Alpha Theta fraternity house. Wilson Hall, the college's former natural history museum, is considered the most haunted of all. Hikers passing through the town can quite literally walk from the haunted wilderness into the haunted halls of academia. And next, the ghostly trail angel. Now, trail magic is a term for unexpected kindness found on the trail, and trail angels are the people who provide it. This has given rise to a uniquely hopeful and supernatural piece of trail folklore, the ghostly trail angel. These are stories of hikers who, at their absolute lowest point, out of food, injured, or hopelessly lost, receive sudden, inexplicable help. A full water bottle might appear on a dry stretch of trail. A perfectly placed piece of fruit might be found sitting on a log, or a mysterious, silent stranger might guide them back to the path before vanishing. These spirits are not scary, but are seen as the benevolent souls of past hikers, still looking out for those who tread the path. Next up, the great speckled snake. Rooted in the deep woods of the southern Appalachians, particularly Georgia, is a classic tall tale legend of a monstrous serpent. Stories tell of the great speckled snake, a king of all snakes, that is said to be as wide as a stovepipe and as long as a log. It is not just its size, but its supernatural cunning that defies the legend. The snake is said to be an ancient creature that knows the woods better than any human and is a master of camouflage and ambush. While sightings are almost non-existent, the tale serves as a quintessential Appalachian warning about the dangers that lie hidden in the deepest, oldest parts of the forest. I have an example of a sighting in my book, Strange Things in the Woods. Next up, the ghost of Emily's Bridge. While not directly on the Appalachian Trail, one of Vermont's most famous and chilling ghost stories comes from the town of Stowe, a town hikers often visit. Emily's Bridge is a covered bridge said to be haunted by the violent spirit of a young woman named Emily, who died there in the mid-1800s after being jilted by her lover. Visitors report terrifying phenomena, including their cars being scratched, hearing a girl's screams, and seeing a white apparition. For hikers passing through the Green Mountains, it serves as a creepy reminder that some of the region's most aggressive spirits reside just a few valleys over. And then there's the White Lady of Union Cemetery. The Appalachian Trail in Connecticut passes just a few miles from what is often called the most haunted cemetery in the United States, Union Cemetery in Easton. The grounds are famously haunted by the White Lady, a spectral figure in a white gown and bonnet who is seen floating among the tombstones. She's even been caught on film by paranormal investigators. For hikers braving the Connecticut woods at night, it's an unsettling thought that the spirit of the country's most famous cemetery ghost might just wander into the surrounding forest. Next up, Judacula Rock. In a valley south of the Great Smoky Mountains and near the route of the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina lies a massive soapstone boulder covered in mysterious ancient carvings. This is Judacula Rock, and it's a sacred site in Cherokee lore. The legend says that the carvings were made by a powerful, slant-eyed giant named Judacula, a master of game who could control the weather. The markings are said to be a map he created as he left from his mountaintop farm, landing on the rock. It's not a ghost story per se, but the tale of a powerful being whose presence is literally etched in stone. Next, the Agropelter. As the Appalachian Trail pushes into its northernmost sections in Maine and New Hampshire, it enters the territory of classic lumberjack folklore. One of the fearsome critters from these tall tales is the Agropelter, an ape-like beast known for its unpleasant disposition. It was said to live in hollow trees and amuse itself by breaking off tree limbs and hurling them with great accuracy at any lumberjack or hiker who passed underneath. While likely just a story to explain the very real danger of falling logs, known as widowmakers, it personifies the random hostility of the deep woods. And lastly, White Blaze Fever. This final legend is not a creature or a ghost, but a strange psychological phenomenon known to virtually every long-distance hiker. White Blaze Fever is the hypnotic, trance-like state that can occur after staring at the trail's white blazes for days on end. Hikers report feeling an obsessive compulsion to follow the blazes, sometimes walking past their intended shelter or water source without even realizing it. It's described as a kind of enchantment or call of the trail, where the path itself seems to take control. This shared, disorienting experience has become a unique piece of trail folklore, a testament to the profound mental and spiritual effects of walking the long path. Well, friends, our journey is complete. For thousands of miles, from the haunted southern peaks of Georgia to the spirit-guarded summit of Mount Katahdin, we've followed the whispers and warnings of the Appalachian Trail. We've collected 50 strange and unsettling legends, a heavy pack filled with ghosts, monsters, curses, and mysteries. These stories, taken together, tell a truth that every long-distance hiker comes to understand. The Appalachian Trail is more than just a physical challenge. It's a living repository of memory, fear, and wonder. The legends transform the landscape. A strange sound in the night is no longer just an animal. It might be the Wampus Cat. A fleeting light in the distance isn't a car, but the Brown Mountain Lights. A sudden chill in a dilapidated shelter carries the weight of 100 campfire tales. The official trail may end, but the trail of legends has no terminus. It continues on in the warnings shared between hikers, in the scribbled entries of shelter logbooks, and in the profound, prickling feeling of being watched when you're miles from another living soul. The stories become your unseen companions, a permanent part of your pack. They're a timeless reminder that when you walk in these ancient mountains, you're never truly alone. Thank you for listening. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'll see you a little farther on down the trail. Tell your animals I said hi.